Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What's up, Shawn? I guess it's just you and me, kid, because it looks like Jared is New York for part-time prognosticator. And I can't hear you because you, my friend, are on part-time volume.
There we go. I said, yeah, I guess he's on, he's Mr. Social, right?
I don't know what his story is, man, but he's been out and about, I suppose. Maybe he just doesn't, unlike me, I guess, I've been on a losing streak, but, I'm not afraid to show my face.
Yeah, you're facing
if I
music,
had his
right?
face, I wouldn't want to show it either.
There you go.
But there's a difference in faces. Just kidding, Jared, but not really. All right. So as always, we like to kind of cover. Well, why don't you touch upon the game last week and kind of what's setting up for the NFL afterwards, and let's talk a little bit about that situation with basically the Cincinnati Bengals and the Bills getting kind of screwed.
Yeah, total unfortunate situation there with Damar Hamlin. Glad, all the stuff coming out the last 24 hours with, the first thing he said was, did we win? So he knows that he was on a football field, the last thing he remembers. And, he talked and everything else. So everything's looking good.
I think they said he wrote it down.
Yeah, but now he was talking too.
Oh,
he actually had a meeting.
He was on a FaceTime with the team. Yeah.
Yeah, they took the tubes off and everything. So that's awesome that he's okay. A really scary Monday night. I've never seen anything like that. It was quite amazing how everything unfolded. Of course, it has to be Monday night. Everybody's watching, everybody. But as far as the scheduling thing, I knew Monday night, and Skip Bayless is getting killed for this, but Skip Bayless didn't say anything wrong. He said the game didn't mean anything, which it didn't because the guy's life was at stake.
Yeah, I think if you put together the entire sequence of his tweets, and then the fact of the matter is Scott Van Pelt said almost exactly the same thing, but because I think he is he's in the right circle of fans, I guess, or influencers, he got a pass.
Well, Hillary basically told me, would they really cancel the game? And I said, well, if he's dead or close to, they would have to. But then I said right away that this is a huge game. They're going to have a problem. This is not the NBA, hockey, baseball, where you can play 2 days later,
one game
play
less
that on
in the season, it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah. And of course it had to be, it couldn't be a game. If this game was meaningless and it didn't mean anything like some of these games this weekend, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But now with this whole AFC Championship game maybe at a neutral field, it's just going to it's kind of like a COVID thing now where things are just going to feel a little off. They're not going to be where they should have been. But at the end of the day, Damar Hamlin looks to have survived and looks to be in the right trending. So that's the most important part.
Indeed, the person's life is more important than the football game by a long shot. But, it's interesting to me, Shawn. And, you got these guys on TV. They get paid a lot of money. They're supposed to be smart. And they say, oh, nothing like this in football has ever happened before. And I said, my son at the time, I go, I think someone actually died on the field once. And then I said, there's a such thing as Google. Why wouldn't you go Google before you make it like a universal proclamation like that?
Yeah, and, also, it obviously didn't have the same media and stuff like that. I don't even know. What year was that?
Like 1971, I think.
Okay.
It wasn't even that long ago. It wasn't.
The other thing I heard people say is I've never seen an ambulance on the field, and I've seen ambulances on the field before.
Many times. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from. So it's like, I just haven't, and obviously 1971, I was only born in 85. I haven't seen the level of everything that happened Monday night and what just went on live in front of us. And, imagine the media team, too. They had to quickly scramble on what they're doing. They had to watch every word they would say because, so what I say about Skip Bayless, and he didn't say anything wrong, the only thing I would say about that is what we talk about all the time with social media and stuff. I might have thought something similar to that, but I didn't go write a tweet or write Facebook message at that time.
Let me ask you a question, though, Shawn. In all seriousness, right? I know the young man was in a difficult situation after he got hit in the chest, right? He went down. But since when did we move into a country where you're not allowed to speak your mind?
No, it's social media, I feel like.
But I mean, I think that's straight up. I don't swear that to me that's straight up bullshit, right? And it's just why
it is.
Who gives a crap what somebody else has to say? If you don't like what Skip Bayless says, or you don't like what Shannon Sharp says, or you don't like what anybody else has said, my mom, I remember sitting down watching TV, and my parents had the TV, and if I didn't like it, she told me to leave the room. Like I don't like this show, you can go. You don't have to watch it if you don't want. Or if I was watching TV and I didn't like something, she would tell me if I was complaining, change the channel, right? If you don't like Skip Bayless and you don't like what he has to say, well, don't look at his tweets.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I would say, and I try to find the right wording for this, but it's right. The life is more important than the game. But at the same time, if he did die or what he's facing right now is because of the game. The game did mean something or he wouldn't be out there doing what he's doing. And his first words were, did we win the game? I got news for you. Every competitor, I feel like, right? Like, let's say Mike Leach for Texas, well, not Texas Tech anymore, well, Mississippi State. When he died 3-4 weeks ago, and I know they had time, so it's a little bit different, not the same. But those players said we have to play because coach would want us to play. And that's every competitor's thing is, you have, so I don't think they should have played Monday. I understand, I feel like they should have played Tuesday because I feel like Tuesday was just a complete, we're just sitting around we're not gonna know Tuesday. We're not.
I understand because of the culture we're in now that if they had gone on to continue to play the game, it would have been a public relations nightmare, I think, for maybe 40% of their fan base. I think most people who have played sports, a lot of folks who have played at a highly competitive level, I mean, you saw just from watching in my mind, Stephon Diggs, who later on went to the hospital, Joe Burrow was on the sidelines. They've played football before. They've seen guys get really damaged on the field, right? And this is unquestionably a different scenario than what you've seen before, right? Because they knew when they put the paddles on him that he had passed away on the field and that they brought him back to life. So they didn't know what was coming next. But you saw when the word definitely came down that they're playing again in 5 minutes. This whole controversy, it's unquestionable that somebody somewhere along the line said they're going to play again because Burrow started warming up, and at the same time, Stephon Diggs was over with the Buffalo Bills trying to fire his teammates up. There's no way those two events happened simultaneously if they weren't both told the same message. And I don't care what anybody says after the fact, Shawn, because after the fact, it's the good old CYA, it's ass covering. Just look at what the players did, and you know exactly the message that was sent to them.
Unfortunately, we don't know exactly what the NFL got from, what actually happened.
We know, Shawn.
And what was
we know because of what the players did.
No. But I'm saying we don't know. Roger Goodell was not at the game. I don't believe, right? Troy Vincent was not at the game. I guarantee
you, it's 2022, Shawn.
Oh, I know.
Exactly, it's 2023. If I press send on this button right now and I send you a text, you're going to get that instantaneously.
I understand.
I guarantee you there were NFL executives on the phone with people who were down in that huddle as that they were administrating CPR to that young man. They knew exactly what was going on in real time, unquestionably.
But I would also say that
if Roger Goodell was with his mistress, not saying that he has one, but if he did, if he was with his mistress, he told her, hold on a second, and he was on his phone. Absolutely, unequivocally, unquestionable, because he is the head of the league, and there's no way they were going to have an event where a person perhaps passed away on the field and that final call wasn't made by him. No way on the planet.
I'm not saying he wasn't called. Obviously he was called, but I don't know what was told to him. And then I'll also say, I think it was in I believe the ref out of instinct was saying 5 minutes because that's what's in the handbook. That's what they do for everything. But this was not your normal bad injury. And I would also say, since this has never been done, or in 1971 it was done, and now we're in 2023.
Continued to play right after that.
Well, but I'd also say it's kind of odd, shouldn't they? I mean, every workplace should have like this absolute what happens if this crazy scenario happens.
You know,
they
Shawn,
don't have
people die in workplaces every day, man. This is not uncommon.
Yeah, I know, but if they didn't have an actual like, what do we do here? Like,
they call 911, they get an ambulance, and they move them out, and everybody else goes about their business.
Yeah,
I mean, if someone had a heart attack in your workplace tomorrow, do you think they're going to send all of you home?
I guess it depends. I mean, if it happens behind the scenes, they probably, you find out later or whatever. If it happens funny, I don't know. I
guarantee you that, okay, this iPhone that we see right here is made by 10-year-old children in China, right? They jump out of buildings over there because of the work conditions, all right?
Yeah.
They're working every day. There'll be a company here in the United States tomorrow, if not right now, in an Amazon warehouse, because they just have so many employees. Somebody will have a heart attack today, but because of the nature of the business, the ambulance will come, they will go home, and the people in the rest of the people putting the packages, the stuff in the packages and shipping it out, they're going to put in their 8 hours, clock in and clock out like nothing happened. 100%. The only difference is it's on TV for the NFL. What happens in the Amazon warehouse, the only people who know about it are in the warehouse. But if it were on TV, right, they might have a public relations nightmare. Somebody in your office tomorrow has a heart attack. Believe me, brother, you ain't going home.
Yeah, pretty much, I would say. I mean, unless it's some kind of real bad, like, I don't know.
Unless it's you.
Electrocuted in front of you. Like,
if it's you, that's the only way you're going home, brother.
I have to say, though, if I died on a field because I'm trying to win a football game, and so we're playing a game, we're playing a football game, and I almost die on the football field, and I survive, and you guys quit, I'd be mad. Because if I'm out there almost dying, you got to go win that game.
You know what would be interesting to me, though? You got to imagine. Can you imagine being him waking up, right? You have no idea what happened, and they told you, dude, you died twice. You got to be like, get the hell out of here. Yeah, no, you died twice. Man, shut up. Yeah, you did. Wow, that's got to blow his mind, no?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully I've never been in a situation. I have no idea what it's like. I mean, what it's like to
most
be.
People alive have no idea what it's like to be dead.
You're talking. Well, no, but I mean, to even be in that state for 48 hours or whatever, where he's going to have no recollection of what was going on.
Well, you do that every night.
And it is. Brother. Yeah, but not 48 hours straight. I don't sleep 48 hours straight. But
I have to imagine the experience is the same. It's just longer.
Probably.
You're out of consciousness and then you're in consciousness. The passage of time is just, it's meaningless because you don't realize it's happening. All right, let's talk about football.
It is amazing though that he remembers, the football game. You would think you wouldn't remember that part at all. So it is amazing that he remembers that.
Yeah, you think about a lot of guys though that got hit hard in the head, and a lot of them don't remember the games. You hear a lot of guys saying that they played entire games after they got hit. They had no idea what happened. They just see the film and go, I can't believe I did that. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do like we always do. Start off with week 7. Oops, so I got to present the info. Here we go. So last week, here we go. Information presented. Jared had a tough week. He lost $594. Like I said, he's got a face for radio. I didn't want to come in, and he's hoping that he has a rebound week this week so I can get all the boom emails or texts from him. Because anytime he's got a winner, you're lucky you haven't given him your phone number, Shawn, because anytime he's got winners, I get boom, boom, boom. And one thing I got to say, Shawn's got to wish I was his banker.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't be if you were my banker, I wouldn't be correcting you, because when I looked at this when you sent it to me, I think I was up like $280 from last week, and I was like, wait, I did better than I thought I did. And I saw you gave me another thing. It was a W for the Jets, which would have been great because this game this week would have meant something for the Jets, but right now it does not.
So yeah, this is like I've made 3 mistakes so far, I think, in putting Shawn's information together. I don't think I've made one for myself or one for Jared, but I made 3 mistakes for Shawn, and every single time I've turned a loss into a win. So Shawn wants me to be his banker. He was up $91 last week, adding to his total. And me, I just continue to experience heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss to the hands of Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times can you lose a game in the final possession? In my last 8 losses, 6 of them have come either in a turnover in the final possession, because if you think about it, Carolina, that great New York Jets quarterback, ship off down to Carolina, Sam Darnold. That game looks like, okay, they get the ball back. They go 4 and out. They're out of timeouts. Tampa Bay sits on the ball. Carolina loses by 3. We're all winners. But I jinxed the both of you. Because what does Sam Darnold do? Fumble.
Yeah. And that's a game I really thought the way they came out and stuff, they were going to actually win. I wasn't even thinking about that. Well, you know what I was thinking about? I wasn't even thinking about the 4 points. I thought they were going to win. I was thinking, wow, we actually didn't jinx the Carolina Panthers. We did it. We all picked winners.
Yeah.
And then
I told you,
then
back up. Didn't I tell you, get the mortgage, man? Right? We crossed screen. Me too, indeed. So looking at that game, Shawn, she says she's laughing. She wishes I was your banker too. I get it. Now I get it. A little slow, but it's eventually it comes, but it came right there for sure. But in that game, and then again, Kenny Pickett, let's talk about that decision by the coach. I understand kicking the field goal on 4th down. You still got all 3 timeouts left. It's much easier to get into position to score a field goal than it is to score another touchdown. Why would you kick the field goal on 2nd down? That is the most stupid thing I think I've seen a coach do out of all the stupid things we see coaches do.
That happens all the time, though. That's the new thing is instead of wasting another minute and a half and having 4th down and kicking the field goal, they do it there.
But there's no need to waste a minute and a half. You got 3 timeouts, okay, because you have to – what do they call that? They call game theory or whatever in your head. You have to play the game out in your head. So assuming you don't score the touchdown, right? You still kick the field goal. So you throw 2 incomplete passes, and then you're kicking a field goal. You've taken 5 seconds off the clock. You still have to recover that fumble, right? You're at the 25-yard line. So if you've already made the decision in your mind, okay, I'm content kicking the field goal now, why not take 2 shots to the end zone, right? Deep corner where the ball either goes out of bounds on the sidelines or out of bounds past the end line, or your receiver makes a tremendous catch in the corner. So you put it in the corner, 2 options for the ball to go out of bounds or your guy to make a catch for a touchdown. Then kick the field goal because you still have to recover the onside kick.
Well, with the 3 timeouts, they were able to get the ball back, and they would have been. But
that's another stupid thing to me. So if you're going to do that, why kick the onside kick? Kick off all the way down the field, because if you don't get the onside kick, right? Now again,
you're not getting possession, right?
Well,
you're not getting very good
possession.
You're not getting good
on your 5-yard line,
right? And actually, too, I love when teams do that. Actually, when they have all 3 timeouts, when you kick it deep, they're waiting for that onside kick. So if the kicker places that just right, they're inside their 10-yard line, and then you are getting the ball back almost at midfield, and you're right there for the Hail Mary. So I agree with that. I
would think you would do too. To me, it just seems what you should do on that kickoff, right? I would line up like I'm going to do an onside kick so that they would bring everybody up. And then I would try to do like a kick where you know how you get those Super Balls and that's like the first bounce, but that second bounce goes way up. So why not kick the ball so that you hit the top of it, it hits the ground and bounds and goes over the wall, and it kind of starts rolling around in the middle of players. Then you have the best of both worlds. Maybe you get lucky and you recover it. If not, they recover it. They don't have the best field position. You still got your 3 timeouts, and maybe then you got a chance. I think it was a dumb decision, just like all of my picks last week were dumb decisions because I only picked one, and that was the Jaguars. Lost on that Panthers game. The Vikings didn't show up. Thank you. The Ravens lost on the last drive, and I thought it would be that the Saints that would be the one that wouldn't put the game over, not that the Eagles would be playing for their lives on the last week of the season.
Although you did call that if they didn't, which they did, though. They did try against the Cowboys, but that if they didn't win that game, you don't want it to come down to exactly where they're at now. The only thing that they're getting lucky with is what will be the Giants' approach here because they're gaining nothing out of it.
Yeah, but I still think that you want to. I think you still want to play your players at least through the first half if you're the Giants, and then coming out treat it almost like a preseason game coming out of the second half, because I don't think you want to break routine and then maybe risk being, lack of sharpness the following week in the playoffs. Although the way the Vikings are playing of late, you might just show up and get the W there. All right, so we've talked about 20 minutes about nonsense. Let's talk about football picks, right? But I guess we're not going to talk football picks, Shawn and I, because Shawn's tired of talking nonsense. It's just me. He'll be back in just a second. So Jared is not here. Shawn will be back in just a second. So let me shrink the size of this, and then I'll talk about what I like. And then when Shawn comes back, I got a couple of player props this week because I feel like these numbers are a little bit on the low side. Travis Etienne over 64.5 rush yards versus that Tennessee Titans defense. That Tennessee Titans defense is pretty weak against the run, and Etienne is not sharing the ball whatsoever at all. And as a matter of fact, not only are they weak against the run, Tennessee, they're also kind of weak against the pass. So I think you're going to see Etienne get over 64.5 because they're going to have to defend the pass, which is going to open up some running lanes for Mr. Etienne, who's been a big part of their offense. And then in that Sunday night game, the last game of the year, Detroit's another team that struggled to stop the run game. So sometimes I hate when I'm older. There, he's back. All right, Shawn, you're with me, huh? So I was saying,
yeah, I love the internet.
I love technology too. So I took a player prop, ATN over 64.5 rush yards against the Tennessee defense. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville should be able to move the ball here. It's a must-win game, and ETN has been awesome. So, yeah, I like it. And then in the last game of the night, looking at on Sunday night, I'm taking A.J. Dillon to run for over 43.5 yards against the very porous Detroit Lions run defense, because the name of the other guy escapes me right now, Shawn. The other, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, yes, indeed. Thank you, Aaron Jones. Because
that's where I'd be nervous.
I'm not nervous because I feel like that the reason I'm not nervous because they get gashed. And these running backs nowadays, they run for 5-10 yards. They're tapping their helmets right away to come out, right? I don't know what that's all about. When I played football, when you're on a roll, the last thing you wanted to do was come out because they're feeding you the rock. These guys nowadays, they run. I see it all the time. A guy goes for 10 yards, he's out of breath. Take me out. What is that about?
Well, I'll say, and maybe I should have done this as a prop, but I'm thinking about it now. Aaron Jones, man, every Sunday and Monday night, I used to play him sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like, no. He always seems to get a touchdown in those primetime games. And then, so you can do play Aaron Jones, put some money on Aaron Jones getting a TD. And then not only that, but do the whole first touchdown in the game too, because if the Packers are down there, he may get that first touchdown in the game. And usually that is you can put like $10 on and you get $65 or $75 back. So it's good value to do that too.
Yeah. So I feel like A.J. Dillon over 43.5, he can, against this run defense, he can do that in one run.
Well, not only that, he would be your guy too if they do get up against Detroit here. And
to run it out,
they're not pounding. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, 43.5 is not a big total. And it's the negative is you got to worry about Aaron Jones, but the positive is this total is so low because of Aaron Jones that it's not going to be hard to get.
I felt like sometimes Aaron Jones is a little bit more involved in the passing game.
Usually this year, though, it's been a little not as much. I feel like,
I
should be because they don't have the receivers. But.
If AJ Dillon gets 10 carries, he'll average 4 yards a carry against this defense
against the Lions.
Yeah, and I think he'll get at least 10 carries. Okay, let's go.
The only thing I'd be worried about is if it's a shootout to where they just start passing it all over, like they get down 2 touchdowns or something.
But I don't think that's what Green Bay wants to do, though. I think they realize the weakness of Detroit is to go through them on the ground. They go on the ground, keep that offense off the field, try to get a lead, and just pound the hell out of them. That's what I think we're going to look to see. All right, Ravens and the Bengals. Woo, 9 points. I think that, I know that the Bengals are playing for something. But boy, does this game smell like to me. The Ravens are up 14. I mean, the Bengals are up 14. fourth quarter, 3 minutes left. They've won. They're in their coin toss, and they're going to find out what's going to happen to them. And the Ravens come and score just an absolutely meaningless touchdown at the end of the game.
Well, the only way the coin toss will come in is if the Bengals and Ravens have to play each other next weekend, which there's some scenarios that could happen. I would love to take the Bengals, and I would love to take Buffalo. And I think they both should be able to cover their spreads, but this could really work to their advantage. What happened Monday night?
Let me ask you a question. You're the coach, right, from Cincinnati. There's 8 minutes left in the game. You're up 14. You want to get your players some rest because you're playing next week in the playoffs. You want to make sure that Burrow, Jamar Chase, your players on defense that are key, they don't twist an ankle in the last 9 minutes of the game. You're not running out your stars anymore, man.
I would say how important is the rest for teams like the Bengals and Buffalo this weekend when they only played 10 minutes last weekend?
It's not.
Don't you want to kind of make sure?
I don't. If they're up by 14 points, Shawn, which I think they can be, or even let's say they're 17,
they're going to have to be up more than.
Don't you?
They're going to have to be up more than 14 because 8 minutes left. That's an eternity in the NFL with 14 points.
Yeah, but you can make that decision to take them out. If it gets close, go back in. Because to me, the risk is not that they're tired. They're going to get tired. The risk is Burrow takes a shot to the knee. The risk is that Jamar Chase blows out his ankle and he can't play next week. That's the risk. It's not are they going to be healthy enough to play? I mean, it's not going to be are they going to take anything out of their legs. It's make sure they get out of the game healthy.
The other thing is how important is this game now because the Bengals do win the division. It's going to come down to a coin toss either way with that. They can't get home field. They can improve their seating, but they can't. So the meaningfulness of this game kind of went out the window too. So it still means something.
So
but
the most important thing for the Bengals in this game is to come out healthy.
Yes.
Right. And if the most important thing for your players is to come out healthy and, not lose a Burrow, not lose a Jamar Chase, not lose a key player on defense, I'm telling you, the first chance that Zach Taylor has to put some of those guys off to the bench for the rest of the game, they're going to go there.
Well, I would say the reason I didn't sign up to take the Bengals -9 also is the mental aspect. And I think number one this weekend, Zach Taylor's got to make sure they're mentally ready to go after Monday night. I think that would be their number one thing that he wants to gain this weekend is to make sure they're mentally ready to go and okay to play football right now.
I think they're going to be mentally ready because they were a witness to an event, but it's not their teammates, so they're not emotionally connected to the event outside of what just happened in front of them.
But it's like everything else. Yeah, you see a car crash. Not only is that somebody now that's their brother, they play NFL, but it's also, what if that's me? Some people have a hard time. Now they've seen that. That could be me on the ground there. And I think that could be a mental block there. I think
if any team is going to suffer from it, it's going to be the Bills. It won't be the Bengals because it's not their brother, as you said, so to speak. It's kind of like if they saw a car crash, they're a witness to it, then they go about their regular lives because things don't really change in their locker room. Things don't change in their personnel. They're calling, how's he doing? But it's different calling about how you're doing about a friend than, some coworker that you don't spend some coworker in another factory building you don't spend a lot of time with. Panthers and the Saints. He's going to take the Panthers plus 3.5 against the Saints. Does this game mean anything to either one?
No, not really. I mean, they're both eliminated. Both have finished the year good. So, I mean, they want to close out the year good. I was looking at this game, one of those, even if the Panthers lose by 3, still cover, and it's probably leaning towards the Panthers. But the Saints are really playing good right now. So that was my thing. And Darnold kind of regressed last weekend at the end when we didn't need him to. I didn't like some of those throws. So I stayed away from it. But I understand the 3.5. He's gone, 2 units too. So
well, he did 2 units. Yeah. He put the bourbon down when he put the units in this week. Chargers and the Broncos. He likes the Chargers getting 3 points on the road versus the Broncos, and he's getting plus 100. Boy, every week we talk about the suckers bet, right? And God, can this instead of saying Chargers, shouldn't it just say suckers plus 3?
Yeah, again, the game really doesn't mean much for the Chargers. I mean, a little bit of seeding, but what does seeding mean when you're a wild card anyway? So yeah, I stayed away from it, and I would stay. And he went 4 units.
Well, it's getting plus 100. I mean,
and I understand it. I mean, it's just the Chargers backups are probably better than the Broncos starters. I mean, the Broncos are coming out. Broncos did kind of adapt to, but I don't know if it's the Broncos or the fact that they must match up okay with the Chiefs because they've covered the last 2 versus the Chiefs and they played them tough. But yeah, I understand why he did it, but it's just one of those. What are the Chargers? What's their intent this weekend? And that's the biggest thing with all bets this weekend is you kind of got to know what the team's plans are, and you're not going to always find out until Sunday when they're in the middle of the game. So you're rolling the dice.
I think it's clear what the teams that are locked into the playoffs, what their intent is. That minus a few teams, like so San Francisco, Dallas, the Eagles, all the group on the NFC side, they're still playing for something because if the Eagles lose, the Cowboys win, and the 49ers win. 49ers get home field advantage. Cowboys win the division, and the Eagles are now the wild card team. So those teams all have something to play for in the event. But it all depends on the Eagles, losing. And like you said, the Giants, what's their intent? Outside of that, the Chargers' intent is to get out of the game healthy, right? They don't want to lose an Austin Eckler. They don't want to lose a Herbert. They don't want to lose a Bosa again, right? They don't want to lose a Khalil Mack. They don't want to lose any of that stuff. So their intent is just let's get out of here. Let's go home healthy because, like you said, a win or a loss doesn't matter. What matters is we show up next weekend on the field with everybody ready to play.
Yes. The only thing I will say is it's right like the bowl games. One team you have 20 opt-outs. The other one you have 2 opt-outs, and they make the team with 2 opt-outs the big favorite because, that team's not even trying. And how many times does somebody come in and they play good? It happened every week. Used to be 17, now week 18. You have that too where, this team's not going to play. Last weekend we had the Raiders. Jared gave 9.5 to San Fran, and look how good the Raiders played. So you could say this person's
maybe that's like the first sort of offense the 49ers have played in 8 weeks.
I forgot until I said it that I was going to get you started on the 49ers, but you just never know.
You realize that their schedule is 8 times softer than the next closest team in terms of soft schedule on the year.
While I was working yesterday, I was able to have you guys on, some on my phone on the side. So I saw you giving Charles and Terry all the slack about the 49ers.
But they have by far, I think it's actually 2 times softer than the next closest team in terms of strength of schedule. They couldn't have asked for an easier schedule. And then anytime they go on the road, they have struggled, man, against backup quarterback. Mariota beat them.
I know you're not going to take the 49ers because it's the point on what you're arguing here. But if somebody told you could pick one NFC team, and if that NFC team got out of the NFC and you get $1,000 or $1 million, whatever, it'd be hard pressed not to pick the 49ers.
That'd be the last team I would pick.
I knew you would. So who are you going with? You can't go with your Cowboys.
So if I get $1,000, who's going to come out of the NFC?
You got one team.
One team I can pick. So you got the Cowboys, you got the Eagles, you got the Giants, you have the Vikings, you have either Green Bay or Detroit, and you got the 49ers. And who's the other one?
Well, Seattle would be the other one that could get in.
All right, so I wouldn't take Seattle.
That wasn't needed to be mentioned.
I wouldn't take the Giants. That's for sure. Like them or not, hate them or not, but the Eagles and the Cowboys have played by. I mean, if you look at the Cowboys schedule and the Eagles schedule, but particularly just about every team they've played has made the playoffs, right?
Well, that's also because their division. What division?
But if you're in a strong division, so they played the Eagles are in the playoffs. They played the Giants 2 times during the playoffs, right? They played the Jaguars. No, they lost. They should have won. They're likely to play in the playoffs. They lost to the Green Bay Packers, a game they should have won. They're likely going to be in the playoffs if they win this week. So if you go through their schedule, them and the 3 teams that they played that sucked were Tennessee, Houston, and Indianapolis, and they struggled they played down to them, but they still managed to beat those teams, which is what you're supposed to do, except for the Jaguars. In any case, they've played against playoff caliber teams. So if I'm going to say, to me, in the NFC, if Jalen Hurts plays, the Eagles, as much as I hate this, I would rather stick this pen in my eye. But the Eagles are the most complete team. They can run the ball. It's hard to defend Jalen Hurts. They got two really good wide receivers in A.J. Brown and in Devontae Smith. And then the Goddard is a good tight end, but they did lose a significant part of their pass rush last week, which will hurt their defense. But I think the Eagles are the most complete team offensively and defensively, and they got a shutdown corner, which you got to have. And the one thing I think that the Raiders proved, because the one thing the Raiders have, which is evidenced by Josh Jacobs, is they have a good offensive line. And if you have a good offensive line and you can stop that pass rush from the 49ers, their secondary is a highly suspect. And what's going to happen when you play against the Eagles, when you play against the Cowboys, when you play against the better teams in the NFC and you run into good offensive lines, you're not going to get that pressure. And when you're playing teams that only score 15, 16 points a game, and they still score 15, 16 points a game against your defense, they're not really creating what's called alpha, right? They're not limiting. So a team that scores 16 regularly still scores 16 on their defense. They haven't taken anything away from the offense. It's just a bad offense. You understand what I'm saying? So I think when they play against real teams, that secondary is going to get exposed. You saw that happen against Kansas City, a good team with a decent offensive line. The defense couldn't generate anything against Mahomes, and they absolutely lit him up. And then you go ahead and you stick that rookie quarterback in a chase position for the second half of the game, and he's going to look like what a rookie quarterback looks like.
Well, we see this all the time too. Next weekend when you turn on football, it's going to be different than what you see right now. And it's going to be different for Brock Purdy too. It's going to be something like he's never seen before. So you do have that. But he's answered every call so far, so it's whether he does or not. But he should
answer every call so far.
But I will say about the Eagles, the Eagles did have a soft schedule, which made them undefeated in the beginning. Then I would say you have some injury concerns. Lane Johnson being out. I know they're trying to get him healthy and stuff like that. Hurts being out, coming back. And then them not playing well to end the year is never a good sign. We see that year after year too. Like you even said, you want to be peaking at the right time, and they are not. They're going the opposite direction. Yeah, so those would be my concerns with the Eagles.
So if you're going to look at a team that's peaking, you want a dark horse. I mean, if you're San Francisco, do you really want Aaron Rodgers on a roll showing up in your first game?
No, you do not.
No, you don't.
No. And I don't think, honestly, I don't think they want Detroit neither. They want, their best scenario would be Seattle winning and Detroit beating Green Bay, and they get to face Seattle. Yeah, then you get Brock Purdy, one playoff start, and it should easily be a win. And then you'll have Terry and Charles going after you, and you're going to say, hey, you beat the Seahawks out of all people. So
you know what's going to happen? Inevitably,
same argument for another week.
Unless they win the Super Bowl, inevitably, I'm going to be right. All right.
Yeah,
it's like that broken clock theory. I was wrong for 11 hours, but damn it, at midnight, I got it right. All right.
Yep.
So next up, you guys, you got the Raiders +9 against the Chiefs. Why is that?
Well, I liked how the Raiders played last week offensively. And the Chiefs have been struggling here to cover spreads. I mean, they're winning. They're doing what they have to do, but they haven't been ultimately impressive in just blowing teams out. Well, so the Raiders at home
game for them, though.
It is, but doesn't that sometimes that pressure, especially being a standalone game on a Saturday, that pressure gets to you too. So they may win this game, but they're going to struggle to win it. I could see something like exactly what happened with San Francisco last week. If Jacobs is going to run the ball, the quarterback's going to play just as good. Now, I will say, and we talk about this all the time, the Chiefs had a little bit more tape on the quarterback from last week. So Raiders will have to adjust a little bit and hope that he can adjust as well. But the 9 points at home, I think this is I said it last week when Jared took – I didn't take the Raiders because I didn't know what to expect. But giving the Raiders 9 points at home, and they're still going to try to win the game. I mean, you got people out there. I mean, Stidham's playing for attention, for a job. I mean, the Raiders don't know who their quarterback's going to be next year.
Jacobs is playing for a good year. He's going to be a free agent, so he's playing for a contract, right? So he wants to end the season on a high note. Yeah, I think that's another one of those games too, where I could see the Chiefs up 14, everyone's on the sidelines, and then the Raiders come back for that late touchdown to cover.
And some of these teams too. I mean, like the Raiders. I mean, this is going to be it. It's Saturday night. It's national TV. I mean, Saturday afternoon. It's national TV. It's over. Yeah. So isn't it kind of like your Super Bowl? It's now or never. Go out on a good streak.
It's now or September. That's for sure.
Yeah.
For them. And then Jared thinks the game is going to go under 53. I was looking at that total and I was thinking to myself, 53 is a high number. But I think if I remember correctly, these teams have gone over like 5 games in a row or something. So I just completely stayed away from that.
Yeah, and if I'm kind of seeing what happened with San Fran and the Raiders last week, that went over 53 quite easily. So I would sweat that one out.
Yeah, especially since supposedly the 49ers defense is all that and Kansas City's is not. So if they can put up 34 against those mighty 49ers, they should be able to put up 100 against Kansas City, unquestionably. All right, Titans and the Jaguars. You guys are on that game as well, but just different parts. You like the Jags to win tomorrow night by 7. To win 6.5 is the number there. And on the other side over there, Jared thinks they're going to go over 39.5. Where are the Titans going to get points?
Yeah, that would be my concern there. And then you could say, well, then I'm taking Jacksonville giving up 6.5, so they got to win by a touchdown. This seems. And maybe this could be a sucker bet because it just seems obvious that the Jaguars are going to win this game, win the division, and the Titans are going home. They don't have their quarterback. Dobbs is not it. I mean, he might give them a better chance than their rookie, Malik Willis. But he turns the ball over. I mean, you could see towards the end of last week's game on why he hasn't got that opportunity yet.
He's a rookie. I mean, he's not going to get it, right?
Dobbs has been in the league a couple years. He was with Pittsburgh. He was with Pittsburgh for a while.
I was thinking of the other Tennessee quarterback. My bad.
Yeah, Malik Willis. Yeah, and they're choosing Dobbs over him. And I understand. Like there are times Dobbs looks okay, but then he makes those late throws. Like all these backup quarterbacks, like you say about Mike White and stuff like that. They're backups for a reason. They'll show you. And the only hesitation was is this that sucker bet because it just feels like Jacksonville's going to blow Tennessee out. They're going to the playoffs, and Tennessee's going to put their head down, and they collapsed at the end of the year. They got hurt, and they had a horrible year at this point.
Well, they saved themselves for this week for sure. And if they shut down Derrick Henry, Dobbs is going to have to make plays for them to win. And if he doesn't, they're going to get smoked. And if you're going to go quarterback versus quarterback, I mean, you certainly want to have at least this version of Trevor Lawrence and what they're doing on offense now. And I think there's just too many ways for the Jaguars to win this game, and there's really only one way for the Titans to win this game. And if the coaching staff is not good enough in Jacksonville to take away that one way for Jacksonville to lose, then they shouldn't be coaching anymore.
Well, and the only other thing you would think of is the pressure going to be too high for Lawrence, that's one thing Lawrence has never done. He's just calm and cool and collected. I don't see it affecting. And Doug Peterson obviously has won the Super Bowl, so this game's not going to be too big for him either. So now Tennessee is good. I do agree with you that Mike Vrabel is a very good coach, and Tennessee will be coached and be in the right position. I just don't think they have the players with the injuries. Especially
I think they have one way to win it. It's Derrick Henry. That's it.
Yeah.
And if Derrick Henry doesn't have a good game and they can't run all over him, that's their path to winning. And everybody knows that. And if Doug Peterson, you just got to take Derrick Henry in the running game away and say, okay, if you're going to beat us, Dobbs is going to beat us. And that has to be your game plan on defense. That's it. And in that respect, I don't know that the game goes over 39.5. I mean, I can see the Titans getting stuck on 10, and that's going to, put the Jaguars needing to get to 30. And I think, they want to get up, they want to take the air out of the balloon, and they want to kill the clock.
That absolutely. That's what I was going to say about the Derrick Henry. The other way to offset that is Jacksonville wants to get up 14-0, 17-0. But we've seen with Tennessee before, they won't give up on that run game, but the defense will keep trying to stop it. But if Jacksonville does get up 2-3 touchdowns, this game's as good as over.
Fast. Yeah. So you like the Rams and the Seahawks. You think that I like how I spell Seahawks, but you like the Rams and the Seahawks. So you're on the Baker Mayfield train, even though last week he kind of played like Baker Mayfield again.
Yeah, the +6. This is a very important game for Seattle because if they win, they get to,
But you
I'll
got
watch the
Rams.
game. Yes, I know, because I think the pressure is going to get to Seattle on this one. Plus, the Rams' defense is still good. And Mayfield has made that offense at least respectable. They score points. So I think the +6, I think this will be one of those nail-biter games down to the last couple seconds to see if Seattle still has a shot at the playoffs or not.
And I do think that Baker Mayfield is trying to play to win, absolutely for certain.
Again, it's last game. He's the starter. Who knows if he'll be in L.A. next year or not and where he'll be. So he's got to put everything he can on tape.
So you're going to go with the Lions getting 5. They're going into Green Bay, a dome team. It's going to be cold. It's the frozen tundra. I could see this game being up and down the field, but there's very few teams playing as well as Green Bay right now.
Yeah, but the Lions are playing really well too. So, you're giving me 5 points again. This should be one of those. Can
I rewind you back a week?
Hey, but overall, before last week, they were playing really, really well.
But they went on the road to a Carolina team 2 weeks ago and ended up getting beat by a team on the road and on the grass. You're going to play on the road. You're going to play on the grass against a division rival. I think if this game were in Detroit, I would be all over them on that AstroTurf, inside, outside, on the road. Yeah, I don't know. I think Green Bay has the upper hand right now.
The other thing with Carolina is I felt like they just ran over that porous defense, like you said. Green Bay's got 2 backs, but they don't want to play that style necessarily. They want to win it with Rodgers. So that will work in Detroit's favor. Detroit's just going to want to score every time they get the ball and put that pressure on Rodgers. I just think 5 points is too much. And honestly, I really think – I hope – that's the other thing. I hope, and that's not why I picked the Rams, because I think 6 points is too much, but I hope the Rams win. So this is, I think everybody does. So this is a playing game on Sunday night. That's always what you want on a Sunday night, last game of the season. And sometimes you just get wild, crazy games that come down to the last second field goal.
Yeah, I agree. But let me ask you a question. So with all of the stuff that Aaron Rodgers went through this year, with all the wide receivers in and out of the lineup, all of the turmoil, and if in the end he gets his team into the playoffs and they advance a game or two, do you change your opinion on him?
No, I think he's great, but I still think he's overrated. Just because you say he's overrated.
Think about it this year. He got receivers, rookies that he don't have any chemistry with. They're in and out of the lineup. He's got an old man in Randall Cobb who probably runs a 8.4 40 now, and he's Tanyan is in and out of the lineup. The offensive linemen are in and out of the lineup. Aaron Jones is in and out of the lineup all year long, the guy, and he's no timing. And here they are at the end of the year when he's got a little bit of time with these kids. They're starting to play well now. And I think you have to say that he's had a phenomenal year, at least the second half anyway.
Yeah, it's been impressive what he's done now. But I can still say when you say somebody is great, you can still say they're overrated. Even if they're great, there's people that have put him on a pedestal that just I don't think he can achieve. If he was I talk about Brady all the time. The weapons he had in New England was nothing. He did what Rodgers is doing right now. Brady did that year in and year out.
Didn't he have the greatest weapon of all in Bill Belichick?
Yeah, but how well has Bill Belichick done since Brady's left?
Yeah, well, I guess
it's
like the Beatles, right? I guess that's probably not a good one because they're older band, but together they make great music. Individually, they are not so good. So you put the two together, probably because they're probably on the same wavelength mentally, and it creates great music. And you stick them apart, and maybe they struggle a little bit. But Brady did do pretty good down there the year they won the Super Bowl. All right. Next up, I think that's about it. Cowboys and the Commanders, that game going over 40 points. I guess if Carson Wentz, who are they even going to play a quarterback?
They're not playing Carson Wentz. They're playing a rookie quarterback, and the name is escaping me. It's the guy out of North Carolina, Sam Howell. Sam Howell. Yeah, let me know. Rookie quarterback out of North Carolina. So basically, they just want to see what they have in him. Give him a week. I really think. I said this last week. They really screwed up going back to Wentz. I didn't understand that. And I took Cleveland, which you were surprised at, and Wentz proved me to be right because he was just throwing the ball up for the defense. So, and I don't understand. you go to Wentz and now you're out for the. I mean, don't they want to see what they have in Wentz too, or they're just saying we're done with Wentz and we're releasing him? Because at this point, you got to make up your mind what you're doing next year. Wentz is not to be a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
I think too expensive for that.
Or maybe he just won't be in the league. That could be that too. Or he gets cut and he ends up being a backup. I don't know if you saw.
Cowboys
defense has been kind of lack, but I think they'll give up 15, 16, 17 points, and they'll score 24 themselves. So I think that game goes over too.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I don't know if you saw them either. Ron Rivera didn't even know they were eliminated or could have been eliminated after the game. That's horrible too. Come on.
Riverboat Ron, baby. All right. Last 2 picks over here for me. I'm going to go a couple of money lines. The Jets, I haven't lost enough money to the Steelers, so I'm going to do it again. I feel like the Browns are playing better. Deshaun Watson probably is starting to get the feel, and at some point in time, the clock is going to strike 12 on that Cinderella because, I mean, let's just be honest. Outside of those last drives in those last 2 games, Kenny Pickett has not been very good. But in those last 2 drives, because the defense kept him in the games, he had a chance. You got to give him props for coming through on in those situations for sure. But if they're playing any other teams that had any offensive ability and they weren't at 12 points or 10 points, those games would have been long settled. I think the Browns can get over 14, Shawn. And if they can get over 14, they're going to beat the Steelers. And I'm actually going to take your Jets against the Dolphins because Tua is out. That means Teddy Bridgewater is going to come back in, but he's 1 hit away from going to Skyler.
Yeah, Skyler's actually in, I believe.
I believe. Is he going to be in?
Is it? I thought it was Skyler Thompson.
I saw that Teddy Bridgewater was ready to play, but if it's Skyler, then for sure. I think that they got a good.
You know what though?
Skyler's
not played bad for a 3rd-string quarterback, and he's a rookie or second-year player too, because I know he played at Kansas State.
He's a 7th-round draft choice this year. Yes.
Yeah, because he played and he was always decent at Kansas State too. I would actually be. I don't know. Bridgewater, I mean, every time he plays now, he's just never done anything.
Yeah, but he's going to throw a pick for 6. But no matter who plays quarterback, the Jets' defense is – I mean, they didn't play it like it last week. But that being said, I do think that the Jets basically with Bridgewater, if you watch him, if you take away Tyreek Hill, he's going to struggle. And I think with this younger kid too, Skyler, they're going to try to force the ball to Tyreek Hill. That's going to create at least 1 or 2 interceptions because they're going to bait him into throwing a ball when he's covered when it doesn't look like it. They underutilize the Jalen Waddle and his speed when Tua's not in the game. And sometimes even Tua forgets to look that way. And then I think the Browns too. So I'm going to go with both of those teams. I think one of them will win. Maybe both of them will win, and maybe I get lucky and I can finally get back on the winning train and go 4-0 and go back into the plus column.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried, I looked at both of these, and if I was inclined to go one way, I'd go the Browns. The Jets,
the Jets are going to beat the Dolphins.
The problem is a Flacco. It's going to be painful watching that game with Flacco in. The only thing with Cleveland, I mean, I disagree with you on the quarterback from Pittsburgh. Now the name's escaping me, and
Shawn,
Kenny Pickett.
He's been for the minus those last 2 drives. He's been very who would I?
But he's not doing the rookie thing. He's not turning the ball over, and he's making the plays when he needs to. Because they're playing in 10, what they want to do.
But it's because they're losing 10-6. So you don't have to get out of your. You don't have to get out. You can afford to run the ball 3 times and throw a 2-yard pass and punt because the game is still in contention. If they're down 14-3, it's a whole different story.
The crazy thing is, I could see the scenarios Pittsburgh needs. I could see Miami losing to the Jets, like we're talking about. Buffalo's going to beat New England.
You hope.
And if the Steelers do find a way to beat the Browns, they're in the playoffs. But I could also see it where all 3 teams lose. I could also see it this scenario that you pretty much have here, because I'm pretty sure that you didn't take Buffalo giving up the points, but I'm pretty sure you think Buffalo's going to win the game.
Yeah, Buffalo's going to win the game.
So I think
There will be
that's
no more inspired team in this weekend than the Bills.
Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of your drama is going to come on Sunday, because this Browns-Steelers game, it's going to be a good game, and I could see the Browns win it. You know, you got the plus value, so if you're 50-50 on it, you got the plus value, and like you said, you get one of them, you're good. You get both, you're really good. So
yes, and then if those two guys can run the ball a little bit, I'll have a nice day. But the way things are going, I would fade the hell out of everything I'm doing. Fade Jared twice, and then double up on Shawn, and you're going to walk away. You're going to be walking away like that guy in Monopoly. Your pockets are just going to be change falling out. That's the way things have gone lately. All right, kiddo.
Well, that's exactly it, though. Things go. I mean, last year we did the Moneyline Madman thing, man? I kept coming on. I was giving losing picks. You were in the positive all year long. So
well, hopefully I can get back. I mean, I wasn't the positive until the last 3 weeks, so hopefully we can get back into that. I just, like I said earlier in the year, last year what would happen is I would go like 50-50-50, and then I'd have a week where I won 5, and that would give me that gap. Then you go 50-50-50, and then I had a week where I would win 5. And then I would go 50-50, and then I have a week where I lose 3. Go 50-50, have another week where I lose 5. So the culmination was that pile kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward. So it kept growing. Well, this year it was like boom, 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 boom. And I stayed there, and then I hit a little bit of a cold streak, and you go underneath. I never had that run. And I never had that run like you and Jared both have had a run where you went 3-4 weeks in a row with winning most of your games and collecting big piles of money. I never had that. I just went 50-50 all year, and then the floor fell out. So hopefully this week can get back into the positive, and then as we head into the playoffs, build to the end of the year and have another positive year. That's the game plan. I have no other choice at this point.
Yeah, and I'm just trying, I'll try to maybe work my way to 1,000, but I'm gonna stay positive all year, because playoffs will be a different animal, and we'll only have 4 to 8 games every weekend for a couple weekends. So I'm not going to play everything. I'm going to stay disciplined.
Yeah, you will. You won't be able to help yourself. You'll be all over. All right, Shawn. So tomorrow at around 1:30 my time, so about 2:30 Eastern, we're going to kick off, Terry and I, for Santa Anita with all their big races over there at the track tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. And then on Monday, we'll be back for Parks at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Tuesday, Parks, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And then Gulfstream Park on Wednesday. We'll do Aqueduct on Thursday. I'll be out Friday and Saturday of next week, so that'll be it for the pick shows. And then Monday, you'll be back with Julie. She came, worked for a week, and then took a month off. That's a hell of a schedule. But she'll be back again to start 2023, hopefully regularly. So who and you and Julie are you going to speak to?
So a lot of young people that people should get to know and remember the name, because they're going to do well in the business. Monday, young trainer Dana Soul. Tuesday, young jockey who just got her first win last month, Madison Oliver. And then Wednesday, young trainer TJ Aguirre.
Fantastic. So looking forward to that. We have some great content coming up shortly too, probably within the next month or so. Be on the lookout for that. The way you can make sure you don't miss any of it is to subscribe. Hit us up on YouTube with the subscribe button. Hit the bell. Follow us on all of our social sites at Horse Race, the number 2 day, Horse Race today. Looking forward to the playoffs next week, Shawn. Hopefully we can get back above water, the both of us, and then we can close out the year strong. But no matter if you're betting college football, if you are, the big game on Monday night, make sure you head over to the Picks with the Professor. It also does college basketball, a little NHL hockey, so check that out. Hit up the guaranteed tip sheet for horse racing picks beyond what we're doing on our daily shows here. And make sure you hit the link below to collect yourself some HRT gear to support what we're doing. Outside of that, Shawn, I think I've gotten everything in the book, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully I get you get no breaks on Sunday, and I don't get those text messages where I'm counting down. Sunday night I had that, after they threw that interception and stuff, I had like that 10-second of I'm going to get this message, and then there it was. So hopefully I get nothing but –
I'll count to 11 this time.
Hopefully this Sunday we get some of the good messages that you finally get over the hump.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, I can't believe. My text message was to you is this has got to be like some universal joke or something to keep losing games.
Yeah, you said you can't get a stop, and then when Baltimore threw an interception, I knew like, oh, there is a stop that time, but it's not for you. And then the message came.
And then the touchdown. All right, my man. Well, you have a great weekend. Follow us on our social sites, as I said, and no matter what you do, we hope everything ends up in
the winner circle.
End zone, bro. Come on, it's football. All right,
End
we'll
zone,
see y'all
man.
later. Have a fantastic day. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Boys.